Great, what do you
Hello,
mean?
everyone, and welcome to Hotline League
That was
episode.
you. That was your overlay. That was fucking you. I know.
No, that was not. It's episode 190.
It's
Goldenglue might go gray at some point in time during this episode because he was a second ago. I started the show thinking people would see it, and he came back to life, and I don't know what occurred. Shout out to
it's
Alienware and Gamefield for
Fantastic storytelling.
Thank you, Alienware and Gamefield for sponsoring the show. I'm joined right now by my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
it's going good. I'm a little confused because he's still gray for me on Skype, but he's
Oh, really?
fine for you. Yeah, like when I look at my Skype, I see the gray version that we saw before.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I'm very excited about this. Regardless,
I'm doing great, dude. Shut
Yeah.
up. There's so many good shows on right now. I'm like
I'm great
overwhelmed.
again.
He's dead. There's a lot of good shows. I'm watching The Circle, which is coming to a conclusion this week. Bachelor in Paradise, Squid Games, or Squid Game. There was something else. Oh, Love on the Spectrum. I just finished. I love that show. And then, Reservation Dogs. Like,
that's
there's
still
so
going.
many
I feel like
good-
you were talking to me about Reservation Dogs like months ago.
I mean, it comes out every week. It's not like a Netflix kind of dump and binge. Didn't work. But yeah, a lot of good stuff right now.
Nice. Well, as we move into the entertainment section of the show, let's first introduce Goldenglue so he can participate in it. Thank you for coming to the show, Goldenglue. Anything interesting happened for you lately?
So I guess we're just gonna accept that I'm gray. This is just gonna be
You
I'm
can
back
turn
on
off your Skype camera and turn it back on again. Maybe it'll work.
Okay. Maybe.
I like your setup though. Looks like you live in a very nice place. The window in the background's great.
Yeah, I do like where I live. I live in.
Oh, now it's
I live
fine
in-
again. It popped back
Yeah,
up.
I turned it on and off. It seems like it worked. Yeah, I'm feeling good. You know, we won. So we had the Proving Grounds Grand Finals yesterday. For anyone who hasn't been paying attention, I started coaching 100 Thieves Academy this year, and we basically won the Academy equivalent of like LCS Finals or whatnot, the biggest tournament you can win. So, feeling good about that, and feeling even better about going on vacation. So, yeah.
Spawn was in chat earlier and was really worried that you were going to shit talk him. Are you planning on doing that?
On who? On Fallen?
Spawn? He works
Spawn?
for Team Liquid. You might.
Yeah.
You're not even familiar with him. I see.
Who? No.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, Spawn's great. It was I mean, we went to Game 5 twice with them, so it was fun.
Nice. Mark, we're getting a little bit of echo back. I think on your.
Oh, you want me to? Let me try that. Sorry, I probably had it close to my face and it was jacked up.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I watched that series last night. I thought you guys were fucked because the reverse sweep just looked like okay. They'll 2-0 start for TL looks wrapped, and then game 4 and game 5 were just brutal massacres by 100
Yeah.
Thieves, and then game 5 was actually close, which I was really happy about. It was a fun series.
Yeah, Game 5 was a hard. After Game 2, I got the guys. I mean, the morale was pretty low, right? I got the guys together. We huddled up, and I was like, "Guys, this is our last fucking huddle of the year. Get your shit together. Let's fucking do this." And we also thought like we were just playing really bad. Like we didn't think it was like these guys are like so dominant. We just thought we were playing really bad, and then we got our shit together. Game 3 and Game 4 were they're really good stomps. And Game 5 was oh my god, I almost had a heart attack. Like it was so back and forth, and it was like it'd be looking good for us, and then we gave them soul, and then we won the elder fight, but then we didn't win with elder. It was like it probably was a banger to watch, but I was having a heart attack. I would have been so depressed if we lost after like almost reverse sweeping. That'd have been so sad.
I feel like that's like when like your coach, like when coaching you earn your stripes is when you go into one of those series where you're just shitting your pants the whole time and you just can't do anything as a coach other than you just shit your pants. And like that elder fight, like you said, like I thought you guys were fucked. And then they like 2 peel off, 2 stay on the elder. I'm sure Spawn in chat was also losing his fucking mind at that moment that like the split call, and then you guys punish him 1. So it was pretty nuts. And you guys both had like fucked up rosters because of like people getting taken for the main squads, right? For like practicing.
I mean, we had subs. I don't know if fucked up rosters is the word I would use, but
I just mean like not the
yeah.
You had these
not the
shitty
rosters.
players that were just
Yeah,
like
these-
ruining your roster.
I meant like your rosters got pilfered. basically.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting. We knew that like we are gonna be sending players to Worlds, some of our subs. So we started using Gamsu and Cha Jungle since the beginning of the tournament. So we are a bit more practiced with them. Um, so yeah, I mean it is what it is. I think a couple teams like actually I don't think Cloud9 did. I think we were the only two teams that ironically we're the only two teams with subs and we were in the finals. But so I don't know there's much correlation, but who the fuck knows?
And Goldenglue, you're the one. There's a rumor around you right now where you're tired of coaching and you're going to come back and be a starting mid laner next year. That's you, right?
Yeah, that's me.
I was on vacation recently, so
spot, right?
Yeah, I'm actually just owning my own new team. Actually,
gotcha. Okay, nice. I'm excited. Golden Glues? Is that? Yeah, something.
Golden Warriors.
Yes. Well, back to the entertainment portion of the show that always happens at the beginning. So, Mark, you've just been watching all those shows, is what you were saying.
Yeah. There's a lot of good shows coming out in the short future too. People are saying Foundation's good. I'll give that a crack, but I'm a little hesitant on it still.
I read a review that it was not great.
I heard mixed things. Like episode 1 just had like so much awful info dumping, but they're hoping that like now it's caught up and it can be normal. I don't know. But like I'm looking forward to the Wheel of Time show. I'm looking forward to Dune. I'm looking forward to there's some other movies and stuff coming out too that I'm just
Matrix?
losing track of. But I don't know. It feels like shit's popping right now. There's just so much good TV and stuff going on.
Are you excited for Matrix? Or we had this conversation maybe last week.
No, I don't think so. The trailer did not get me excited. It looked like a rehash. And like maybe they'll find a way to make like that a meta narrative point and make it good. But like on the surface level, like it's cool to see them in there again. But like what made the movie so good was like it's a bunch of actors who actually took the time to learn the martial arts. So like it's convincing and the source material was intelligent, or not source material, but like the themes and stuff they were going for were good. And now it's like, well, if you just retry the themes, it's not as good. All the actors are way older, so you're not going to pull off the same stunts you did before. Like, I just can't see a world where it's as good as The Matrix. And 2 and 3 already sucked ass anyway, so.
I went and watched...
Did you like them?
I like The Matrix in general. I thought all The Matrix was cool. I mean... Yeah, Matrix is just fucking cool. I'm excited for the new one, but just because I like the Matrix like IP, I just like the world. I like the universe. I think it's cool.
Oh yeah, you like 2 hours of shooting metallic squids in the 3rd movie? You like how it turned into Pearl Harbor 20,000?
Yeah, I don't really remember the movies that much, to be honest.
I mean, I'm just a resident hater of all things.
That's true.
So.
No, the IP is cool, and I think that I am hesitantly hopeful for it. I think. By the way, I know this is a League of Legends show, everybody. We'll get into it, but on these slower weeks, we tend to just talk about stuff. I don't know. We'll see. The trailer did get me hyped, I have to admit. I'm hoping that they kind of pull back a bit, and they're just like, oh, this is a simple Matrix story, because I think that's what will be good. Finished Star Trek Discovery, which is good. I know I feel like a nerd for some reason in this nerd world for liking Star Trek, but it's still pretty good. I need to finish Ted Lasso. And then this week I've been playing Deathloop, which I've been enjoying. Mark, I think we're still getting a little bit... I don't know. You can take a look at the Discord. You'll see if it's lighting up or whatever. But I've been playing Deathloop, and then I did a sponsored tournament for a game called Eternal Return. Have you guys heard about this?
Oh, I actually played that game a bit.
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of like a battle royale MOBA type thing. I mean, it was I got sponsored for the stream, but not for this. So I don't know. Take from it what you will. But I thought it was cool. And then everybody's very excited about Arcane. But we can have this final. Here's how we'll bridge it back to League of Legends. Are either of you guys excited about Arcane?
I don't really know anything about it. I've been kind of busy getting dubs. Haven't really had time.
All right. Too cool for school over here.
I watched the trailer. It looked good. I'm excited for it. I just don't really care about League lore.
Yeah.
So like, it looks like it could be a good show, but I don't really feel any level of like fanaticism for like, oh, this is something I've loved for so long and it's finally coming to life and I can't wait to see it on the big screen. Like that element that you sometimes get with fandom doesn't really click with me.
Yeah,
don't really care.
I think because I've talked about this a little bit before, but because I've played League for so long, well, I haven't played it much lately, more Runeterra and all that stuff are my lore things, but because, just playing since the beta, they've changed the lore so often that at a certain point in time, several years ago, I just like kind of checked out because I was like, there's so many characters and so many stories, but so many of them get changed and retconned and everything a million times over, and so it just becomes like a jumble in my mind. So I'm hopeful that I'm not like super excited for Arcane, but I am optimistic that I will go in and hopefully watch it and then leave being like really excited about what they are now doing with League lore, and hopefully this allows them to stabilize and I can start to reinvest, I think, fandom into that universe. But we'll see. We'll see.
So Travis, I have an extremely important announcement to make.
Okay.
It's the most important thing we're going to cover tonight.
Oh my goodness.
You wait. Did you get another cat?
Get another cat is not quite the whole story. But we're watching another cat for 6 months.
For 6 months?
6 months.
Yep. That's Luna.
Oh my god. Luna.
I don't know which way to turn my focus to get it right.
Oh my goodness.
What how did this happen?
Ashley's parents needed us to watch the cat for a little bit. So we went up and picked her up this weekend, a couple days ago.
Okay.
You can just go around giving people bad luck. Just take her on the streets.
How is this one dealing with the others?
She's pretty like different than them. Both of them we've turned into lap cats. The other two, she is not a lap cat. She wants like peace and quiet and just kind of keep to her own. So we just kind of have her kept in here while the other two boys get used to her.
Okay.
Don't let Kobe see this.
Was there any? Was there any hissing or anything going on? Are they
definitely
upset?
There's always like hissing, but you just put them in 2 different rooms and put one in a cage and let the other one sniff each other and they hiss and then they chill out.
Okay. Well, wonderful. A whole nother animal to. Well, this one's not a lap cat, right? So it's not going to really show up on the show.
No, but I'm just going to leave my camera here the rest of the night.
Great. Anyway, okay. Well, let's talk about League of Legends esports. So, interestingly, in the past week, groups have been drawn. And so we now know what the groups are. Obviously,
oh, shit. We didn't have group draw before when we were talking about Worlds. Wait.
Right, exactly. Because they did it, I think,
Holy shit. I didn't remember.
They did the draw on early Tuesday morning, and we did the show on... Or no, they did it early Wednesday morning, and we did the show Monday night. So it didn't necessarily make sense to move the show to Wednesday, but now we can talk about group draw. And then, obviously... Goldenglue being on, I think one of the big things we can talk about is Proving Grounds, Amateur and Academy. For all the people who say that we hate 100 Thieves, this is yet another 100 Thieves person on. We've had quite a few lately. And so we could talk about that, his situation, and moving into the coaching world. A lot of different stuff to talk about. Maybe we can even take an Arcane call if somebody convinces Mark to that there's a good one. Like, I don't know what it would be. I'm not going to give you the take, but
I like Arcane. I don't like Arcane. Okay.
I think that's pretty basic, Mark. I'm hoping that we can have.
So I'm like, what are they going to say?
Oh, should we talk? Should we wait and see if there's a call about
the tweet?
The tweet?
We don't support fiestas.
Well, it's not a tweet. It was
it
was the
tweet,
website.
Yeah, but...
Right, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just say this, and then maybe somebody can call in and like argue about it or something. I realize I'm going against the grain on some of the other like influencers and folks, but I thought that was really overblown. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and knowing like how big companies work, but I'm like, this is not like an official Riot position that like everyone really wanted to be outraged by it, and I was like, obviously not the ideal thing to write here, But it's not like they went and tweeted. It's not like John Needham, head of esports, was like, "Playing teams are shit, by the way." Or who cares about those guys? It was like a random sort of error message type thing that you had on a random website that just said like fiestas. It was like, and people call things fiestas all the time. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna get dogged on a ton for this, but I was really surprised. It felt like it was a really. What'd you say?
Let him know.
I think that's a dog shit opinion.
Okay, let's talk about it, because I'm trying to understand why it was like so wildly offensive.
Okay, so you literally on your official, like it was on their official Riot website, right? It was like on an official riotgames.com.
No, it was on like the LOL esports pick'em page, but yes, I know.
Sure, that's still like an affiliate. That's still like an affiliate of like a Riot official page for a tournament you're running, and then you're calling the teams that are like in the qualifiers for the tournament like they're fucking monkeys in a fiesta or something. Like that's like clown. That's literally the like connotation when you say fiesta.
Is it?
It's like, yes, the connotation of fiesta is like no one really.
Because people talk about LPL games being a fiesta. Like that's, to me, I'm like, we see fiestas at Worlds every year, and people say like, wow, what a fiesta that is. I don't, like, for me, that maybe that's the big disconnect. Maybe for me, I look at that and I'm like, yeah, a fiesta is like a messy or wild or unusual game. It is not like these are monkeys in a cage.
I mean, fiesta just has a connotation of like these people don't really. I feel like it has a connotation of like these people don't know what they're doing, or like, I don't know. There's just like definitely a negative connotation to like they're not like professionals, right? Like this is the world's. Imagine it's like for the Olympics, and it's like the Olympic trials or something, right? Like this is supposed to be the be end all of like League of Legends tournaments, and you're saying it's like a fiesta for the teams that like qualified. So I don't know. It's just like really weird, and like the fact that obviously the head GM of Riot is not going to say that because they're not that stupid, but you'd hire someone who is stupid enough to post that on their official website. It's like, I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous.
Okay, Mark, be the tiebreaker here. I
mean, I am ready to sit on this fence for a little bit more. Because I feel like, on the one hand, if it was an error, then like the reason it went out is probably more like oversight. Like someone put in some generic copy and that needs to get updated, and whoever was in charge of publishing missed the message that this needs to get updated and like just sent it out, and then it got published, and like the original writer or whatever was like, whoa, that's not the actual copy, and like those mistakes can happen. But at the same time, I would, if you didn't know that it was a mistake, for the first couple half day or whatever it was that the initial message was up, I understand why people would be mad, especially because Riot themselves has done so much work to remove like a negative connotation from these teams before, with changing the term wildcard to emerging regions. And then it's like, well, they've been emerging for like 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think emerging region is like a weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird terms. They've put teams into play-ins to make people watch play-ins, so it's not just this worthless tournament that they have to invest a ton of resources into with a bunch of like lower viewership regions. And that's why one of the reasons that like major regions compete in play-ins more now and stuff like that. Like, to have done so much work over the years to paint these situation in a positive light, to then have in an official post calling it a fiesta, even sarcastically, looks really bad. And it's an insult to the teams and the people to be like, oh yeah, we just don't support this shit.
Yeah, wasn't it also like, we don't support these fiestas, right? Wasn't that the message? It's not just fiestas, right? You could maybe use the word specifically fiesta, but we don't support these fiestas.
Yeah,
that's a different messaging.
That is fair. So here, for me, it was two layers. It was one, I did not feel like the wording or whatever was that offensive. Like, it's not like, oh, we're waiting for, and I still kind of stand by this a little bit, where it's like, I think I would be as outraged as other people were if the wording was something like, we're waiting for the good teams to show up or something like that. But I felt like this was like borderline enough that it's not. But I get what you mean, and I think especially Mark's point on like they've tried to do a bunch of work to change the perception of what plans is and like really incorporate it or whatever. I get that. I think the secondary layer for me was always going to be, yes, it is on the lolesports.com website, but I'm like, it's not like the headline of an article. It's not even like an article. It's not the official messaging for it. It's like an error code type thing. So I was like, I don't really feel like this is Riot making an official stance on what plans is. So that's, I think, the other reason why I just had a hard time feeling the outrage that other people did.
I see.
I mean,
But-
Goldenglue, did you buy the excuse or the explanation that they put out?
I don't even remember what it was. I didn't read it. I don't think.
Oh, so after like 12 hours later or something, they released a statement about it, and they said that that was temporary messaging that was put in by the person who was like writing the article. Because usually the way it works is like someone makes a decision.
I think that's a good, like, that, at least if whether that's true or not, that's definitely a good reasoning, right? Like that's like relatively fair. But why is that? How is that your, like, you know, your because usually that would be like a vanilla message, right?
No.
Like those, oh really?
Yeah, at least like for the LCS and the people that I work with, like if you need to update something, people will put in the trollest shit ever until they get the actual copy that they're supposed to update with. Like so many tosses that James or Dash reads in like rehearsal and stuff is like so bad. You just say like ridiculous shit because you're gonna fix it later, and it's like you're just trying to get a joke out of him, like see what you can make Dash read on the prompter. And sometimes people like, I would believe also, I think this was message that like the person who wrote that copy was frustrated that they weren't supporting play-ins, and so I think they were saying it like kind of.
Oh, this is so
tongue-in-cheek,
meta. That
ironically.
is so funny then if that's actually like the case.
Yeah, so I think the writer was like upset that the decision comes down that they're not supporting play-ins, and he's like, "Yeah, well, of course not, because we don't support this bullshit Fiesta, you know." And then they write that while like waiting for how they want to actually word it, and then that goes out. So like,
Wow, that's so meta, dude. That's actually so meta.
I think that's actually how I took it, but like, you know, who really knows at that point? But it's pretty believable to me, having worked with like, you know, just some of the people at the LCS, where you're like, oh, yeah, you gotta update that.
Yeah, I mean that, and so that's kind of my other sentiment on this is like, I don't. Somebody in chat was like, yeah, they link to it from the client. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't. This is not a philosophical belief at the company about play-ins. Like, for me, I look at all the other work that they've done around plans, to Mark's point, which is why this is, you know, to me, both, I agree with the concern more now, because to Mark's point, they've done a lot of stuff and this undermines it. But on the other hand, like, I'm going to trust all the work that they've done to try to legitimize play-ins and to try to change the opinion of some of these other teams more than I'm going to like care about this random text that's on like a plans site for pick'ems and stuff like that. So I don't know. For me, I was like, this, I don't know. I'm big on nitpicking and being outraged about stuff, but I just had a hard time feeling the audacity of Riot Games to disrespect people. Now,
yeah, I'm over it. Let's go next topic. No more.
Okay. Well, I think now it's time to I don't know, Mark, if you've started pulling anybody, but we've got group draw, we've got proving grounds, we've got, I don't know, any Goldenglue questions. I'm trying to think if there's anything else major that I mean, it's still kind of the quiet week. I guess rumors that not only obviously we talked, I think, about Beer coming back before. I thought there was a good chance he was going to leave TSM, but like a 50-50 chance, or maybe even slightly more. But now there's some reporting from, I think, Esports Maniacos that it's likely that he's joining TSM, which poor Power of Evil, but who knows? Maybe Power of Evil has another option ahead of them. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I think that's mostly stuff over the course of this week.
The group draw gives us more stuff to talk about with the predictions and stuff. So yeah. I assume at some point we'll just go through, you know, and kind of give our thoughts of, because we also have play-ins to cover too. So
yeah. Well, I think we'll probably talk about more about plans next week, because we'll be right before the start of it. I think we're doing stuff the 4th is the night before, so maybe we'll talk about, we'll truly preview plans then, but maybe we can start to have general conversations about world scripts now.
I would also float it by you if you wanted to do, given that there's no new information in theory between today and then, maybe we push it one day and do it Tuesday night, and I can recover from my casting and like take a nap and then
do it the first night of Worlds.
Yeah, I think I can say this. I'm not working the first night.
Okay.
So I'll be able to watch the games, and I'll have flipped my sleep schedule already, and I think I should be awake for like it. waking up for Hotline League at 7 would be fine.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk through it offline and we'll figure out. But here's your warning, everybody. There's a chance that we're going to do this on Tuesday instead of Monday. All right. Mark's grabbing our first caller. Looks like he's already got some people. Thank you to Maury Wakes, ACGC9, Red Rain Final Fantasy 14, Caroline Treethan for a year and a half, Captain Dabbeard, Warden Winter, Ari Waddle, Mass Dog, Cesis Caroline, X Yosh, It's Kyler, East Round Net Events, and it looks like there's some other folks. We'll get to them as well, but Mark should be joining any minute. And here he is with Hollowed Horizon, returning to the show. Remind everyone where you're calling from, Hollowed.
I'm calling from Houston, Texas. How you guys doing tonight?
Houston, Texas. Yo. Nice. There you go. Grayson, you're from Texas, yes?
Yeah, I'm from Dallas Fort Worth area. But
Dallas Fort Worth.
Got you.
Well, Hollowed, what do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So I've got an interesting take. I guess this will probably be one of the more tame takes that come on tonight, but it's an interesting one to talk about, I think, which is that 100 Thieves definitely got put into the group of death, and they are definitely going to struggle to get out of there. Look, the reality, the semi-group of death. The reality is with T1 and 100 and Edward Gaming in there, I mean, their chances of making it out are really slim. I mean, just kind of looking at the last little bit of stats, EDG dropped 3 games, and they look good in best of 5s. I mean, T1, it's T1. I don't really know what their chances are of realistically making out of there. Maybe they show up in the same form that they did, like when they were playing in the LCS, especially in that finals against TL where they looked really good. But I don't know that that's going to be enough to get them over the line against those two kinds of teams.
All right. So 100T in the group of death, the world's first
semi group of death.
So yeah, why do you say semi?
So then who is the group of death?
So let's look at the Dam1 FPX Rogue. Rogue is not the group of death team there. That they're just the poor schmucks that got thrown in that group. But it's Dam1 FPX. That's potentially a finals matchup, right? Like.
Well, we always have this issue every year where it's like hard to define the group of death. I've always thought the group of death was like, wow, all 4 of these teams are like gonna destroy you. I found one, Mark. Okay. Thank you though. Here we go. I got it up on screen.
The group of death conversation always is a little weird because for me it's like when there's 3 good teams and someone kind of gets fucked out of making top 8 in the tournament. Because all 3 of them technically should get through there. And while all these groups are hard, no offense to Rogue or 100 Thieves, but like pre-tournament expectations, I don't think you would probably paint them as top 8 teams in the event. And in that sense, then, like while these groups are very fucking hard to get through because the top 2 are really nasty, I don't think, it's like, oh, well, that's just... Rogue would have gotten out of any other group. They just got fucked in there. Like, would they have that much of an easier time in Group B? Not particularly, to your point about Group B also being tough.
Well, do you think they would have, like, if 100 Thieves, for example, got swapped to Group C, don't you think, like...
Just call Group C Group of Life right now.
I think if they get switched to that group, I think their chances of survival go exponentially higher, especially because, like, PSG talent is no joke. RNG, for me, not super impressive. Fnatic is... Schrodinger's, flip-flop team. So, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like, Group A and Group B look like, I mean, even Group D, like, looks fast-hack, but when you just look at Group A, Group B, it's just like, holy fuck. And that's only with the 3 teams, like, maybe one of the good wildcard teams joins that group too, and then it's, like, really scary, right? I definitely think, the initial question was, like, you thought that 100 Thieves rolled group of death or semi group of death. I definitely think when I woke up and I saw the draw, I was like, fuck, we have SKT and EDG in our group. Fuck. Like, I mean, the one positive though is like whenever you get rolled like tough teams like that, it always feels so much better to win. So when you do win, and they are BO1 games, right, in a round robin, right? It's definitely not impossible to beat. Any team can beat any team in a BO1, right? So depending on like how the draft and preparation can go, So it can definitely make some exciting games. I'm very excited to watch our team play against EDG and T1.
Okay, so I have not watched the World's Group Draw reaction video for the 100T team. Have you guys? I'm curious what their reaction is.
I haven't either. That must be
I saw. Wait, is it the meme one? I saw a meme one that they did. It was like with Freeze asking, or maybe it was like Freeze getting asked with someone else. I think it was FBI, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you know what a great group. We're having a lot of fun." Like right as the camera pulls away, one of them like screams "fuck" and it gets cut off or something.
I automatically assume the meme one is the real one, which, to be honest, that reaction is a fair and valid reaction. If you found out you just got SKT, well, T1, I always call them that, and then EDG in your group, it's like, it's not quite the group of death because you had the two tournament, like the top two tournament favorites in another group, but I mean, God, is that rough in Group B.
Yeah, I think in terms of prospects, it's pretty close to the same to me. I mean, you have the 1 and 2 from both LPL and LCK in both those groups, and you know they made finals and they had pretty hot runs. Like FPX lost, but they still look nuts through most of playoffs, and you know T1 obviously is a beast, even though they lost to Damwon. So like, no matter what, it's a pretty clear 1-2 favorite. And the other thing about it is, even though it's not shown here, assuming play-ins have no upsets, it's already decided which teams go into groups as well.
Oh, like, is it really?
Yeah, because
who goes where
Korea, so with Korea and China having 4 teams, and you can't have 2 teams in the same group, and a North American team coming up as well, Group D has to get LNG if they make it in, which makes that group a fair amount tougher. I actually think LNG looks decent. Hanwha has to go into a Group C. I think it's C9 has to go into Group A, and then Beyond Gaming has to go into Group B, the other PCS team.
Interesting.
Okay, so I have a brief. I'm sorry. I feel like I want to ask this question because that
go for it.
There's one European team that we're missing there, which is that. So it's Rogue, Fnatic. Oh, never mind. We're not missing. I keep thinking that they have the 4, but it's not. Some of the 3.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yep. So that would be how it shakes out. I do think, you know, for 100 Thieves, the nice thing to say would be, you know, maybe the PCS team is potentially the least scary, even though they are actually pretty good for the PCS number 2 team. They were able to challenge PSG in the playoffs quite a bit, which is more than it usually is. Usually people think that's kind of a one team, you know, like whoever's the best team, which is PSG historic, like the last couple of years, they just turbo stomp. And they kind of did the regular season, but then playoffs were close. So like Beyond's not a joke, but I think when you just compare the other 3 teams, for 100 Thieves, it's nice that you're probably getting them.
Gotcha. Can I ask a follow-up for that? Because I'm actually really curious as to what your response be as a caster. What would be your upset team if something like what is the team that you're watching for upset
in play-ins?
For play-ins.
I mean, I don't want to get too off topic because we'll probably have some play-ins conversations as well. But the groups are really interesting because LNG and Hanwha are on the same side, and TL and Beyond are on the same side, and then TL's and Beyond's wildcard teams are actually, I think, the stronger of the minor regions. They have I'm going to fuck these terms up. The LCL, the LJL, and fuck, I can't remember the last one. But it's like the 3 of the better minor region teams, and they're arguably the 2 weaker of the major region teams. So I could see an upset happening in Group B, and then TL.
You mean Cloud9 for play-ins?
What was I saying? TL? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay. C9. Yeah. C9 and Beyond are in the tougher of the group with the minor region teams, and if an upset happens there, they will have to play the second place team between LNG and Hanwha, which is probably Hanwha. So you have to beat Hanwha to make the group stage if you get upset in the group stage, which is pretty fucking scary because it's single round robin best of 1. So I would look at Group B as a potential upset spot.
Interesting.
Okay, so
Japan is the LGL, sure.
But do we generally agree with the sentiment that 100T got fucked by group draw? I guess, or is it just like it's really tough with the current format to like end up in a group that is easy?
I mean, I would say just like seed 1 and 800 Thieves and seed 2 TL. Like, which place would you rather be in? You know. I think everyone would prefer Group D. So I don't know. I definitely think it's. I think it's like fair to say it's not. You know, I don't think we rolled high on this one.
Yeah, it's unlucky. Unlucky.
But I mean, that doesn't. I mean, that's just because you got dealt a hard group. It's it's not. It's
If
not
it's a D,
always. It's not always the worst thing. You get a chance to get some dubs against opponents that are. When you're supposed to, when other teams are stronger and you get a chance to upset them, it's a really good mental place to be in competition. So
I guess if it was a D20, you rolled a 2.
something like that.
Something like that.
Hey, thanks so much, Hollowed, for the call. Is there anything you want to say before we take a quick break?
No, sir. I'm not gonna scum shout out my stuff as I normally do. Just want to thank you guys for letting me on, and hope you guys have a great night. Shout out to your sponsors, Game Fuel and Alienware. I personally have an Alienware. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I've never had any problems with it. It's worked great for me. But other than that, appreciate you guys letting me on, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Speaking of Alienware, to talk about Alienware, I know I've mentioned this previously, but just in case you guys have not heard, or maybe you forgot, the Alienware games are happening right now. Please go to alienware.com/Travis and click the banner up at the top and check them out. Even if you're unsure about it or you haven't heard about it before, doing so really helps the channel and helps the support that I get from Alienware. So clicking through alienware.com/Travis, clicking on that big banner up at the top that says join the Alienware games. It's going through October 7th, and then they have finals on October 23rd. But it's a really cool way for you all to participate in something cool. You don't need a team. You don't need to be a pro or whatever. It's open to all sorts of different people, and you can compete in League of Legends, Fortnite, Valorant, and Rainbow Six Siege. You can complete challenges in any or all of the games to score points, and there's a weekly leaderboard that you are climbing, and you basically get prizes along the way. So it's just a really cool thing that you can join up and compete in. And it's always kind of fun. I mean, I am terrible at games, but I will say that I would encourage you, if you ever have the chance to compete in something like this, to go for it, even if you are not, somebody who you think is completely stellar at these things, because it's always kind of fun to sort of test yourself and see how you do. So again, alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching the VOD. But if you are online right now and you're watching live or you're listening to the show, the audio version or whatever, please go over and check it out. Thank you so much to Alienware for their support of the show. We love so much of what they do, we love everything they do for the show, and they help us with so much of what we do. So it's always great to partner up with them. Okay. Mark, you want to go grab our next caller? Oh, he's already off. Thank you to Adam X for the 10 gifted subs, Almost Mexican for the resub, Kanoke for the 1.5 years, Sexy Brioche, St. Louis Slayer 24, 39 months, Exo, I can never pronounce your name. Exo for the 11 months says Goldenglue is hot. And it looks like the OG Kush is returning the show. OG Kush, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Very good. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight? Oh.
My hot take for tonight is that NA will not win a single game in the main group stage.
Sorry? So when you say you're saying not a single game?
Yeah, 0 games. Yep.
You're going 0 and 18 in groups.
Has that ever happened? No, I don't think that's ever happened.
No.
Not even close has that ever happened.
Yeah, that's.
So
are you taking bets?
Am I taking bets? I mean, I'm not as I'm not a super wealthy person. I got not too much money to bet, but
maybe this is how you get wealthy, is by you get good odds.
Goldenglue is about to put his whole life savings on the line here.
Yeah. Okay, Kush.
Good odds on this bet.
Kush.
Yep.
I'm not a betting man either. This is just a hypothetical question.
Kush. Yeah. But if you'd like to continue the hypothetical question, please message
Goldenglue. You guys want to find like a notarizer?
And we can make it. Kush. Okay, so in this scenario, just out of curiosity, does C9 make it out of play-ins?
Yeah. They make it out of play-ins, but once they get to Group A, they're not winning a single game.
Okay. So quite frankly, I mean, I have a hard time with this anyway, but I feel like it's more believable if you only have 12 games for this to, for all the losses to occur in groups.
Yeah.
But now you were getting to 18 games when you're letting C9 get out. So I just, even like a fluke or something like that messes with your prediction. So
Yeah,
why are you so
yeah. I
confident
mean,
in it?
okay. So we'll start at the top with Group A. I mean, it's by far the strongest group of the tournament, and I just don't like. I don't know. Like if you're telling me that Cloud9's gonna take a game off of Damwon Kia
Rogue?
or FPX, Rogue. I mean, Rogue too. You have the
BO1?
LEC MVP inspired. Like you're telling me that King of Scuttle Crabs Blabber's gonna take it home for us against the LEC MVP? No, I don't think so. I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
they
Group
won games at
Group B,
MSI, right? Like it's not
yeah, we
King
also
of
lost
Scuttlecrabs
to
maybe, but
we, we also lost to OC or
yes,
whatever
To
it is now.
Travis's point, you're saying that they can't win a game, but they
Yeah.
literally beat some of the other teams in that tournament that moved on and
Yeah,
made finals.
yeah,
They beat them in best of
yeah,
one.
yeah. But I'm telling you, it's not looking good.
Okay.
It's been
Well,
on the
apparently it's
downward
looking
Guys,
trend.
terrible
a
if
month from
we're
now,
okay.
just remember
Yeah.
what OG Kush said.
Okay, let's go
1
to
month from
Group
now.
B. Group B.
Group E, yes. So this is the one that's looking a little tricky for me because of the playing representative that can either be LPL or LCK. This one, okay, maybe I can see 100 Thieves, possibly picking up a couple games against the playing representative. But EDG, LPL champions, they're looking like a powerhouse. LCK had a pretty formidable, or LCK's T1 had a pretty formidable standing against Damwon Kia, and they're also looking really strong.
Have you watched a single game of Beyond Gaming?
Beyond Gaming? No.
So
I
the
have
other
not.
team
I'll
that you're
admit.
saying 100 Thieves can't beat, you haven't even watched a game of theirs.
No. That's the one. That's the one
That's
spot
beyond.
where you may have me here. That's
Okay.
why I
Okay.
said okay. But okay, that's where I'm reaching a little bit. All right.
Okay, do you
I'll
want
admit
to
that.
change your prediction to the
We
only
gotta go
games
Group
that
D
it?
first. Let's end Group D.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
listen. You gotta go 100 or 0, Travis. That's
Okay.
what I'm
Group
telling you.
I
D.
respect it. All right.
Keep
Group
going.
Okay,
Group D.
Group.
You're careening
we
for the
didn't.
pavement head first. Let's
We,
go.
we, di- we didn't do Group C, Travis. Come on. I mean, you gotta scoop. Or wait, no, there's no NA teams Group C.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
Yeah.
okay.
But
We'll
if
get
an NA
there.
team was in Group C, let me tell you.
Yeah. Very clearly, there's not going to be any NA teams winning a Group C. I will agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
what
Group
What
D.
can I say? That's a 200 IQ take. Uh, okay, Group D. Yeah, I mean, Gen G style matches up really well with Team Liquid's style. They're just like a way better version of Team Liquid, so I don't really see them taking the game off of them. Mad Lions, of course, LEC champions, look super strong, and then they'd have what
This is the
LNG,
LNG. Yeah.
Yeah.
LNG, yeah, and I mean any top 4 LPL team is better than anything that we'll send internationally, so it's pretty safe to bet on the strongest league in the world.
What makes you think that TL matches up poorly against Gen G?
Yeah, I want to hear this. Let's tell me about what is TL style, what is Jinji style, and why does Jinji style do so well versus TL style?
Yeah, I mean they're both like, I mean it's been like this for both of these orgs for a good amount of time, but they're like pretty slow, play style, and like I'm just thinking like if you have a team that like generally plays like pretty slow, you're kind of just taking advantages from your lanes, and I'm just like thinking like toe to toe laners wise across the board. It's like it's pretty favored for Gen G. Maybe not top side, but like if you've looked at Gen G for I don't know, for a good amount of time, they've done really well at playing weak side top and just snowballing the game elsewhere. through Ruler, obviously.
Okay.
And it's just yeah, I don't know. It's
Wait,
not
I have a question. Can you name all the players from Jinji and TL?
Yeah, I can. Um, so BDD is the mid laner for Gen G. Um, Ruler is the support. Life is the, or sorry, not Ruler support. Ruler's the AD. Life is the support. And then Clid's the jungle, and what Rascal's still the top laner? No.
Okay.
At a top laner.
I have confidence you can say the Team Liquid one. I have two directions I want to take this. One, so Group B, do you want to change your prediction to say that 100 Thieves could take a game off Beyond Gaming, or you're gonna stick with the
No,
You
I
can go
don't
1 and
like.
15 and still have this take count.
yeah.
Okay, okay. If I can, if okay, since you guys are the rule makers, I'll take that.
Okay,
It's not
we're
a
gonna
surprise
allow you to
either
go to one. We've convinced you at least to give us one win. So
Getting one, baby. We're on the board.
Yeah.
We can only beat Beyond Gaming.
Okay,
That's fine.
so here's where I'm going to throw this to Mark and Goldenglue. Which, for each of you, if North America was to pull a TSM, or a team was supposed to pull a TSM, which group would they most likely to do this in? If you had to bet money that one of the team's TSMs,
TL.
what TL in Group D?
Yeah,
Okay.
if they get LNG in their group, I think the whole group, like, they could just lose to all of them if they get LNG. Well, I think we like OG Kush says, we're beating Beyond, so not gonna happen to us.
Okay, so
It's
so
funny because
Yeah.
wouldn't you say as well that TL might also have the best chance of getting out, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I also think that we're talking about if a full like can't win any game, right? I could see
Yeah.
they have the highest variance in this group.
right where I would say like you could put like I don't know, like you could maybe say all the teams were going to be better than TL, but by what margin, right? Where then I feel like when you're playing like 100 Thieves versus EDG, right? You're playing against EDG, you're playing against like a Titan team, but maybe you can Achilles heel them or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's funny because like if you get LNG in the group, TL is the 4th place team in that group, whereas for Group B, let's say, like 100 Thieves will be the 3rd place team. And like I feel like the gap between Rogue and C9 isn't going to be that massive, even if Rogue is better, even. So like the chance of 0-6 in both those groups is lower than if LNG shows up and Gen G and Matt are actually as good as you say. But to your point, like the top end of Group A and Group B are Titan tournament favorite types. So actually getting out over them is harder. So in that sense, I actually agree that Group D is also the most likely to go 0-6 as well as the most likely to get out for TL.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
On some actual points about 100 Thieves versus Beyond Gaming, assuming they go in there. Beyond Gaming, if you remember Doggo from MSI, he's nuts and he's really good. But it actually matches up well with 100 Thieves' strength, where the jungler, I'm blanking on his name. I need to look it up. I'm forgetting.
Closer.
I watched so many fucking bots. No, I remember Closer. You fucking troll. The Beyond jungler. God
Husha?
damn it. Twitch chat with my Husha, yeah. Like they're really good, but that actually matches up well for 100 Thieves' strength of FBI and Closer and stuff like that. So like I actually think that in that sense it works well for 100 Thieves, that you're not like needing to worry about getting turbo gapped in any position. Your strengths line up. Doggo looks super legit from MSI, but like FBI hasn't been, as far as I'm aware, I don't think he's made worlds before. I need to double check that. But like this will be a good test for him, but I think he'll be fine. So I actually feel pretty confident about them in that head-to-head matchup. And a similar thing when we were talking about TL versus Gen G, like Rascal's really good. I was hyping him up a lot last year. I think he is actually a really good player, but they don't play around him, which is something I can agree with the caller a little bit. I think TL's a lot more aggressive than they were in previous iterations of international TL. I expect roaming core JJ. I expect them to say, fuck trying to beat ruler and lane. Like I don't think they'll go that game plan. And I think they'll attack topside, and like maybe Gen G is not equipped or like as good at playing that play style. Maybe you can grab a win there with like some really aggressive like TF Camille or Jace or some like just snowball through topside game plan. I can see all that happening for like ways that they find wins for those two.
Very good. Well, OG Kush, thank you so much for the call.
You're welcome.
I'm not thanking you for the comments I'm gonna get on the YouTube video later about how the
Okay,
show is
listen,
a parody or
listen,
something.
Travis. Just to throw this out there for how to interpret my take. If you want to know, two of my previous takes were that last year's Worlds was the best chance of TSM making out of groups. When G2, like, we didn't know whether they were a good super team or not going into their first MSI where they did really well. I said that they were overrated. So, say that what you will, how this relates to my take, but, maybe it's not a bad chance for NA after all.
I like this big brain. You're
Yeah,
always
yeah.
wrong, so you become negative on
Yeah,
NA.
What can I say?
Yes, this is
What can I
good.
say?
Thank you. Anything you want to shout out
Yeah,
before
thanks.
we go on to the next caller?
Yeah, shout out to Dorado Gaming Esports, the most elite amateur organization out there, and that's it.
Thank you
for
so much
having
for the
me on.
call. We'll catch you next time. All right. Off to the next caller. Thank you to Tom Shu for 34 months. Fanboy HS. Humblebee for the Prime. Einscrub Vaults for the 19 months. Blitz for 9. EP, thank you for the 2 years. And Nemsec for 49 months. Oh my god. 1 month away from 50 months. That's insane.
Oh, we're doing all the negative ones in a row, apparently.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who's the person that's pulling all these in this order? I don't know.
Definitely.
Goldenglue, why are you doing this?
Yeah, our
Yeah.
producer is really
That's
struggling.
true.
Your boy Smuck is here. Your boy Smuck, where are you calling from?
I am calling from the Stockholm region of Sweden.
The Stockholm region of Sweden. Okay, so
Yes.
you're not in Stockholm, but you're in the region of Stockholm.
I'm in the region of, I'm in the vicinity, you could say.
Okay. I like
I
Stockholm.
throw
I
a
went there one
rock
time.
really hard.
Nice. Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about on
Really
the show?
hard or really far?
Really, really hard, but I would assume if I throw it in the right direction, it would travel towards Sweden.
You definitely have to throw it in the right direction, right? You could throw a rock really, really hard at the ground.
Well,
It's
maybe
not
he's
funny.
above Sweden. You don't fucking know. Maybe
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
in a cloud city.
Yeah.
In the region. That's why he can't say he's in the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you even describe that? Just I'm above him.
He's just circling in a zeppelin. Okay. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about how I think C9 at best has a 50% chance of making it out of play-ins, and I think the two teams that will win above them are DFM and UOL.
DFM and UOL. Okay.
Can I ask you what's your favorite anime?
Probably Death Note. But that is besides the point. This is nothing to do with my like or
I've never heard-
dislike.
Never heard of an LJL fan that didn't like anime.
Well, touche.
Okay.
Do you want me to explain?
Yes. Please explain.
All right. So we cast your mind back to last year at MSI, and what team was having a good time or at least an even time against C9? DFM. Which team in this amount of time has only gotten better? They have actually gotten their actual support rather than their coach? DFM. Which team has not been looking better, but in fact looking worse over the past half a year? C9. Now, I do believe that is pretty self-explanatory as to why I think DFM will do better than C9 at Worlds this year.
Yes. You mentioned two teams.
Oh yes, I haven't gotten to UOL. I figured you might want to push back on that.
No.
but-
Go ahead for UOL, and we'll tackle them together.
All right. When it comes to UOL, I mean, the Russian league has historically been a really good team in play-ins. They have still have their good top laner boss, who has shown that he is world's caliber. They have Ananasik, who is probably the best jungler in Group B, if I had to think of it, in terms of play-ins. And I just don't think anybody on C9, except for maybe Sven, has a favorable matchup in the UOL versus C9 matchup.
Didn't you all? Weren't they really disappointing at MSI?
Fucking
They
lost.
did not have a good showing.
They lost to Pentanet.
So
They did.
Hey, you put respect behind Petanet's name. Okay.
Lost to Pentanet.
Yeah, they're a great team. All right. So here's my question for you, caller. Before I throw you to the wolves, you talk a lot about like looking at Dead FM and their MSI performance, and then sort of like the last couple months. You mention UOL, but it feels like you're ignoring their MSI performance, and I haven't heard anything from you about like, and just so people don't realize that they actually upgraded 2 of their players, or they whatever they had. It came out that they were sick at MSI or something. So why the UOL like faith?
Well, okay, I would put it this way, right? UOL has a very specific playstyle, which is they have a lot of wacky, so to call it, a lot of wacky picks. They have very unique playstyles that I don't think are easy to prep for. Whereas when I look at C9, I think they play kind of a standard game, which is one. When I look at their one lane that I think they are like actually just straight up better in, that being Sven over Aruganad. I do not know how to pronounce his name. It is primarily through traditional ADCs, but recently I feel like we've had an upspike in mages in the bot lane and untraditional bot laners that I don't think they are going to be able to have any clear win condition. I do not see a clear win condition, but I will admit the UOL one is probably the more sketchy of the two. The one I feel less confident about.
I respect the Dead FM reasoning, not just because I've heard it from you, but also last week on Rift Reaction, Emily was also pretty concerned for C9 in Group E, and and admittedly she is also a big anime fan, to Mark's point, but but it does feel like Dead FM could be like a decent threat in the plans, even though obviously these are fiestas. So
back when we actually when Cloud9 made semifinals at Worlds, I'm pretty sure we lost to DFM in play-ins. Like even the year that Cloud9 when we beat Africa Freaks, if I remember correctly, we lost to DFM. I remember losing to Ziggs mid when no one was playing Ziggs mid.
I need to double check this, and I'm gonna make this is just me shooting from the hip and pure feeling, but I would guess that C9 versus DFM is actually one of the most consistent rivalries in international play cross region.
Maybe I think we did actually win the game, but we were losing the whole time, and then we luckily won the game.
Yeah, Twitch chat, Portillo's in the chat says
game
almost
to them.
Remember, C9 did win against DFM back in the day. I think it was like.
But then, I mean, it was a tough time because C9 also during that time had to go the full 5 games versus Gambit, I think it was, or something.
Yeah.
I remember. So either way, DFM versus C9, I feel like happens every fucking international tournament now. I would hazard a guess that it is the most games played between two teams internationally, nearly, if not actually.
More than Fnatic RNG?
No, maybe not. Maybe there's one of those. But those guys, I would have to check about like best of 5s and stuff too.
Hasn't TLNG2
BGT1? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I'd have to check, but like shooting from the hip. At least for playing teams, it's definitely the case.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm making shit up. Anyways, on to the actual analysis.
This is your plans caster, everybody. Tune it to the world.
Our prep meeting is tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to be stats person. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
This is a gut check.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I would say, but honestly, don't put too much shade on the play-ins teams. You know, like we went to 5 games. Who did we go to 5 games against? Was it Gambit?
I thought it was Gambit. I'll double check.
It was Gambit. You know, we went we went to 5 games with Gambit, and we almost didn't make it to groups, but then we made it to semis. You know, it was like, so I don't know. Don't put too much. A lot of people like to just count out the play-ins teams, but they're legit.
I'll
Well,
agree with
here's.
that, and I think
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say to Travis's point, I actually kind of like the reasoning about DFM. You know, the support, I can't remember his name, the coach, I feel like it's Kazu. I'm gonna fuck it up. Kazu. Oh no, it's Kazu. I got it right. Sick. He did an admirable job for subbing in, but he's not supposed to be their main guy. So expect to upgrade in the bot lane. And their soul laners are really nasty. So it's definitely a concern, I think, for C9. But I totally don't agree with your reasoning at all about saying that unicorns of love, like, they go toe-to-toe, one-to-one against C9 players. Like, I don't understand how you can say that Boss and Fudge go toe-to-toe, or No Man's versus Perks is toe-to-toe.
Do you believe Fudge is just straight up better than Boss?
Yeah.
How did it? I don't remember how Yoel did at MSI, honestly, but I remember thinking
Terrible.
Boss. Didn't Boss do pretty good though?
He was not terrible when the rest of the team was on fire. No Man's played like the worst international tournament of his life.
Yeah.
And meantime, Fudge was hulking out during MSI. He was actually playing so well.
I mean,
And he continued to play well during summer. I don't think there's any way Boss can go toe to toe, like, if it's totally isolated. Now you can talk about like team play and like all these other things, but because this is the point you made, that's why I'm contesting it so much. That one to one, that Fudge isn't better than Boss or Perks isn't better than No Man's. I just can't agree with it all.
The format though sends. I think you mentioned this earlier, Mark, and I remember we talked about it previously. But if C9 doesn't make it out first in their group, which like maybe Dead FM could, C9 would have to enter the bracket stage, right? And then they face.
yeah.
Well, if they get second, it's still probably fine because you're going to assume Ham was getting second. So you would play 3 or 4. The way it works is the 2 seeds go on opposite sides of the bracket, and then you play the winner of 3 or 4 from the other group. So
okay.
if you make it as 2 seed, you're probably still fine. If you end up 3 or 4, then you're probably going to have to play Hanwha after you beat the other person in a best of 5. You play 2 best of 5s.
Okay.
So that's why, to the caller's point, if you caller, are you just saying that Beyond Gaming is better or worse than C9? Is that why you're not talking about them, or why have they not?
I have. Here's the thing. I have heard people talk and hype about Beyond Gaming, but I personally don't know enough about them to speak on them. But if they are as good as people say, I think Beyond Gaming is gonna get second in the group. I think Detonation Focus Me is just straight up the second best play-ins team right now, after LNG. So I think Beyond Gaming would nab the second spot, and in that case, I think it would be a fight between C9 and UOL for the third spot. In which case, they would have to fight against Hanwha Life, yeah. And that, I think, is a toss-up.
Imagine Perks goes out and plans. That's an interesting first year in North America. Okay, so
caller, do you remember Doggo from PSG at MSI? He was like a really nuts AD carry. He was just like doing crazy shit all the time.
The name reminds me, but I do not remember specifically who it is. No.
Well, he's really good, and he's Beyond Gaming's AD carry and like their main player. So I'm pretty scared of them, to be honest. I think they're good. I'm not as worried about the solo laners per se,
Yeah.
But bot lane and
think
jungle is decent.
I think something that is important to remember is that play-ins is primarily what's going to decide the seed is primarily going to play through best of ones, which is where I think UOL are going to be able to actually get ahead of C9. Is that they have historically been using more wacky lanes. They have been using more champions that people wouldn't think about.
Well, let's move on from UL. I just want to wrap this as Goldenglue gets up. I have a question for him, unfortunately, so hopefully he returns. But Mark, so the caller's giving 50-50 chance that Cloud9 makes it out. What's your percentage chance that Cloud9 makes it out?
85%.
Okay. So you're giving them a 15% chance of not making it.
I think there's a good chance. I would probably bet on them being the best team in the group as like the most likely outcome. Not like it's a majority, but like a plurality of my percentage points I would give to them being the best team. Maybe that's like a 30%.
Right.
And then I'd give like 25% that they're the second best team in the group and beyond's better. And then I'd maybe give like 15% chance that they're the third best team in the group and they have to, that DFM's also better. I don't think there's any way that UL's also better than them. I think UL is probably the weakest team in that group, potentially. I haven't watched enough games. I also don't know how to say their name yet. The Galatasaray. I gotta watch how they're. I gotta watch not on 2x speed to actually understand what they're
yeah, I love the idea of you're just casting and saying everybody's team name twice as fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
Goldenglue, what do you think the chances are?
C9's probably getting out.
All right. Well, we lost Grayson. He didn't even explain where he was going. He just wandered off with this take. So I'll ask him when he gets back.
You want to bet it's food when he comes back?
What's that?
You want to bet it's food when he comes back?
Oh, that's probably a good idea. He's getting Grubhub delivered. Your boy Smuck, thank you so much. Oh, I see him coming back in the reflection. Here he comes. And
so here's one other thing people are saying.
Even
if we get third place, Hanwha is not like that like god tier of a team. Their top side is kind of bad.
Goldenglue.
Morgan's really bad.
I was asking you about. Well, I wanted to ask you, what do you think the percentage chance is that Cloud9 gets out? Because the caller said 50%. Oh, are you muted? We can't hear you.
Oh, I am muted. Okay. Yeah, I would say my initial reaction of Cloud9 getting out, I put it at like 65%.
Oh,
Kinda low.
I mean, I think that the teams are not like. I don't think anything's a sure bet in BO1. So I would say they probably have like. I mean, maybe 65, maybe 70, but like I think they have a high percentage chance, but like definitely not a sure bet.
Mark,
are you saying that's to get out in first, or is that to like get out of the group entirely? Because they could, in theory, get out second and then win a best of 5, or they could get third.
Yeah, chance that they escape, that they make
it.
it to groups. Chance that they make it to groups.
Yeah, I'd say it's like 65, 70%.
Oh
yeah.
Boy. Okay. Well, there we go. People in the chat always say like, "Why do they entertain
here.
conversations like this?" I'm like, guys, this is why. It's exciting. It's cool. Your boy Smuck, thank you so much for the call. We'll see how things go in, I guess, next week. Is there anything you want to shout out before we go on to our next caller?
Always shout out to Game Fuel and Alienware. Please open up some Game Fuel in Europe. I want to try it so bad, but I cannot.
Very good. Well, hopefully they end up getting that to you eventually. Thank you, your boy Smuck, for the call.
Yep. See you.
All right.
Before we get to the next caller, I was going to ask Goldenglue a question about the C9 chances, because one of the things that people were talking about, and I feel like I have to ask the question, is should C9 int group stage a little bit to be able to try and knock out Hanwha so that they can get a better group placing in the group stage potentially?
So then you have to play against Hanwha. You have to play against Chovy, right? So that's like part of the whole plan.
You're going to lose to them, or you're going to lose your group to then play a best of 5 that you have to win, then play Hanwha in a best of 5 so that you can hopefully get put into Group C where you play Fnatic, PSG, and RNG.
That seems like one of the things that it just happens, and then afterwards everyone's like, this is the big brain move that they were doing this the whole time. And meanwhile, the players, like, they just lost, they just got shit on. And like, yeah, that's what we're trying to do for sure. I don't think anyone. I don't think Cloud9's like, yeah, I really want to play with Chovy. Like, that's who I want I want to put the life on the line versus Chovy at fucking Worlds.
Definitely feels like
respect.
Definitely feels like it would feel worse to not make it out of play-ins than to like do better in your group. I feel like, yeah. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm the next caller.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, thank you to Shippo90 for the 16 months and Meshbeard for the 6. People want me to give Goldenglue Victory Caller of the Night. He's not a caller; he's a guest. But people appreciate his takes. I appreciate it. Where'd you wander off to, Goldenglue, earlier?
I went to get some more water and light some candles. Set the mood for the final hour with Travis Gafford.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. So nice of you. I hope we get a call in soon for you. Hey, Pixel is here. Pixel, where are you calling from?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
South Dakota. I'm going to turn you up because you're kind of quiet.
Sorry, I
if
can
you
speak a little louder.
Yeah, if you can get a little closer. I've got you at 200% right now, but if you can get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, let me check.
That's good right there. Whatever
right.
you're doing. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, my question's coming from like the academy and the LCS scene, kind of in general, directed towards Goldenglue, since he's kind of been in the LCS and the academy scene for a few years now. I wasn't even aware he was the 100th Thief academy coach, so this makes it even better. But how do you think with the new iteration of the Proving Grounds, how that is going to have a change to the LCS academy and the team system, and how that'll have an impact on the LCS in the next few years? And I want to kind of extrapolate that and then go on to mention that the China getting all of the gaming restrictions that are going on, you think those changes could have an impact for both the LCS and younger players coming from China, as that's always kind of been streamlined for a while, as well as how Korea has kind of done that? Or is this kind of like a last-ditch resort, no matter how much effort we're putting into it, the American scene's kind of doomed because we've been behind the curve for so long?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of mind-blowing, the whole the internet gaming thing that China has imposed. And I gotta imagine that there's gonna be some kind of get around where you sign in with your parents information, or there's just some way to get around it. I feel like trying to ban all these 10 to 16-year-olds who all they do is probably use computers all day. I feel like there's got to be a way for them to get around it. So I wonder if it'll actually I have no idea how that's going to work. That's honestly crazy to even think about. And for Proving Grounds, I think and next year, what Academy is going to look like, it's a big question mark. I would say Proving Grounds overall was a success. I think it was pretty cool to be able to see academy teams versus amateur teams, let other teams kind of do it their own way and see how it goes. And I mean, last Proving Grounds amateur team did win the whole tournament, so they can definitely prove that you can kind of I do like the idea of you get good at the game, you band up with 4 other your friends who are also good at the game, and let's try to take
five
out...
friends in a dream is what people used to talk about.
Or just kind of take control of it on your own. I think this guy's good. Let's play with him, right? This very grassroots style of esports. I think it's cool to have that alongside playing against academy teams, a more systematic and formulaic system. So I don't really know what Riot's going to do with it, right? Because Riot, I feel will definitely change something. I will say the one thing is the Academy split was really long this year. We were playing till yesterday, and from January for the Academy team, and we had in our off season we had 3 weeks off, I think, the whole year, which is pretty insane when you're working 6 days a week, practicing all the time.
I thought academy teams had weeks off at a time. Wasn't that a major complaint? Was that if you did well early on, you didn't need to keep playing or something? There was some big break.
So in previous years, when I played in academy, there has been really long breaks in academy. If you lose or something, you'd be out for months and months and months. And now it seems they've kind of over compromised the other way, where yeah, I mean, it's been basically 10 months, and I've had 3 weeks off. So it's maybe a bit more than that, with a week before this program. But for the most part, yeah, I've had 3 weeks off. So I don't know. I definitely think Academy system is going to change next year. Whether they're going to do 2 Proving Grounds still, I have no idea. But I definitely think it was good to see a bunch of new names and faces in academy and in amateur. So I think this year was overall a success.
I did an interview with Greeley around the time of finals that I think a lot of people missed out on some of the stuff. I hope people go back and watch it. But we did talk extensively about Academy stuff, and one of the things I asked him about was the status of potentially not having the Academy teams based in LA. Do you think that would be something that would suck for Academy? Because it seemed like it was something that they were leaning towards at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pretty opposed to that personally. I think a lot of the top Academy teams and top just LCS organizations will probably keep their Academy teams in LA, or maybe some of the like lower budget teams might go remote, just because if you want to actually develop talent, you need to like you get a better day of practice when people are coming in person. There's people like making sure you're just like taking care of yourself, eating meals, not just eating McDonald's for every meal, like actually living a healthy lifestyle. So I'm pretty opposed to that because there's a lot less like it's a lot harder to get people's attentions when they're just on their computer screen. You know, you can't like go to a different room to do review, like just a bunch of like reasons. I don't know, like what it's actually going to be. Like, I definitely could see that happening. I could see like a lot of possibilities happening with Academy, and I also think another thing is like best of twos. We played best of twos in summer. I think best of twos are a really good format. Like, just getting more games in rather than just playing BO1s for Academy makes a lot more sense.
As a bit of a follow-up, we talked a lot about it from the academy system perspective and like player development, but do you feel like prospects are better for academy players as well moving into LCS with some of the changes to roster building that seems to have happened in recent years compared to like immediately after franchising started? Because I know for a long time players in academy just felt like they were just stuck there fucking spinning their wheels doing nothing because you were just never going to get a shot. do you feel like at least like like maybe the 5 friends in a dream is still dead, but like do you at least feel like, hey, if I stand out, maybe like I can get onto Immortals or Golden Guardians or like anything like that? Or does it still feel pretty doomed for most people, you think?
I think for a lot of like new players, it feels pretty good. Like, I think a lot of people saw just, you know, Blobberfish play Cloud9 Academy and then go in and like be MVP of the league, right? I think there's a lot of people wanting to copy that format. I will say that like in general, I feel like, and it's part community, part like it's like part community and also I don't know. I just feel like in general, people underestimate like the older players, the people who are more experienced. People think that they can't grow anymore. So I feel like if you're a new player, it's still like relatively like easy because just of the way that like the hive mind works is like, oh, this player is new, so therefore it could be like a hidden gem kind of thing. So I would say the path is still like I don't know. It still seems hard for sure, but there's definitely like room for movement.
Are there okay? So it's interesting because you mentioned the hive mind stuff. One worry that I've had for North American talent is that it does feel like we are moving further and further away from North American players on rosters. There's one team that is going to Worlds this year that doesn't even have a North American player on that roster. And I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek because I know that you know, we've had big discussions about like, well, if they've played in North America for a long time, someday, etc. But in terms of North American talent, are you worried at all about? I don't know. I mean, a lot of teams wanted to lift the import rule this year, so I don't know if you're worried at least for North American talent on that front.
I mean, it's definitely weird. That's a weird topic because like personally, I don't really care too much where people are from, right? I just like it's fun playing with the best talent. Like ideally, right, you want North American players in your league, in your North American league. But I mean, I feel like that hasn't really been a priority for any of the orgs, right? Like every org has, you know, imported players for like 5-6 years now, and I do think there is like up and coming NA players to be excited about. You know, like I think our roster is like, you know, Tenacity and Kimby play their first splits of Academy this year, and I think there are others I'm kind of blanking right now. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think it's kind of scary for NA talent. It's like NA solo queue kind of sucks compared to the other regions. All the pro players have to play on 60 ping. The solo queue is like the worst out of any of the major regions, so it like makes sense that there's like I don't know, less promising talent when you have the lower player base and like really shitty conditions to play solo queue on, right? Like ideally, the pro players have really good conditions to play solo queue on, and then they're like it makes practicing more fun. People will play more, and then that makes the up and coming talent better. But if like the pro players don't play that much because the practice conditions are really shit, they're really just like scrim and watch VODs, then those solo queue players don't get to play against who the best players are like in their region. So I don't know, just kind of fucked.
Do you know? I don't know if this would be go too far ahead, but like with 100 Thieves, I know that like EG and other teams used to do this in StarCraft. Are they sending players to Korea if they think they're a promising aspect to boot camp them?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I mean, all the people, and I honestly would recommend that to any person aspiring to be pro. Like, go to Korea and practice. I did that myself multiple times. I know, like 5 times. I think almost every team or any players, almost everyone talks about or considers going to Korea in the off season because it's like why stay in North America to play solo queue? It's a little different maybe if you're like playing on like 14 ping, if you like live close to Chicago maybe, but if you'll definitely get like the diamond players in Korea can lane better than the North American players in Challenger. So, going to Korea is still the move.
Pix, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
I guess thanks for the sponsors, Alienware and Game Fuel, just for allowing you to continue doing what you've done. I followed you ever since the Yahoo Esports days, so I've been keeping track of you for a while. Just appreciate you guys pumping out content like you do, even on the rough times, like people are saying right now. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, eventually.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. It's been a tough couple years from the coverage perspective, so I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night.
See you. Before we do the break, Travis, I have one more follow-up question that's more personal to Goldenglue before we go back to other topics. This one's from Tom Shu in Discord, but it's just like I wanted to say it quickly before having to pull another caller. So apologies, Tom, but you're on all the time, so I don't feel as bad. What do you think about all of these pros coming out of retirement? Not just Bjerg, but Chachi and Nuke Duck. Is this like a long-term thing that pros take breaks and come back, or is it like just a competitive itch that like people feel again? What is it you think that always seems to bring most pros out of retirement at least once? It feels like.
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean that is interesting. I feel like. Well, I think the thing, especially once you take time off, I feel like there's a lot of like burnout in esports, especially in esports. And when you take time off, you can kind of like decide, well, did I really enjoy doing this? Do I enjoy like not playing? Like, and you can kind of like more strategically go about doing what you want, if that makes sense. So basically, a lot of people become pro players because they're just like addicted to video games and they just like become really good, but it's not like very strategic. It's not very like, calculated of like, these are the things that I think are really important to be a pro player. And like, these are the parts of myself that I'm going to work on. It's like, no, I'm just staying inside like 15 hours a day and getting really good. So then that kind of goes straight into their pro player career. And I think once you get a chance to like step back, you like stop playing for a while, you can kind of like, oh shit, like that was a lot. I was kind of burnt out for a while. But for the people who come back, they're like, yeah, I miss it. Like I want to be playing more. And these are like this is the way I want to do it differently, whether it's like a different team, different players, like different environment, or like different requirements for themselves. So I don't know. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think any players who come out of retirement, if like they're methodical about it, I don't think they'll really struggle, but maybe they'll struggle to like, I feel like for the most part, is like once you retire, it's like hard to even get on a team that you would want to be on. I think besides like for those special cases of like Bjergsen can go like anywhere he wants. like I think a lot of players, if you retire, it's like kind of hard to just like go back into pro playing, right? Like, yeah. So I don't know. It's like super interesting. I'm like excited to see how it happens. But I don't think they'll be like, it's like, oh, they're washed or something. Like I mean the whole thing of like, you know, players, you know, your wash at like 24, 25 is like so fucking ridiculous. It's mainly burnout, right? So if you take a break to not be burnt out and you want to do it, then like you're gonna have success, and you're already like so far ahead because you have like whatever X amount of years of experience pretty much doing it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark and Tom Shu, for the question, because I think that was a Goldenglue, a great person to ask that question. All right, we're gonna take a quick break to talk about Mountain Dew Game Fuel. We've heard it shouted out by so many people over the show. Thank you to everybody who's shouting them out. But right now, I want to mention two things. One, time is running out to get the Courageous Sherbet flavor that's available right now, limited edition. So go over to gamefuel.com/Travis and use Travis at checkout to make sure that you get a chance to try this, because it's actually, I think it's S tier flavor. I really like it. I'm a big fan of it, and I would recommend people try it. I know it's kind of weird. You're like, what does a rainbow sherbet flavored beverage taste like? But I really, really like it. So highly recommend if you want to go do that. The other thing is, I shouldn't maybe be announcing this yet because I'm still working on it, but I'm trying to put together a cool streaming event probably on Thursday, where I will be working with some other people who are kind of like experts on different regions to do kind of like a world's preview stream. I know there's a lot of this content out there, but you know, we got to do it. In fact, even on Rift Reaction, I'll be talking to some people, but trying to do something cool and live on the stream here with GameFeel. So no promises yet, but stay tuned and keep your ear to the ground, because we're going to try to do that so that, you know, if you are not maybe following some of these other regions outside of North America, there's a great chance for you to tune in and hear some stuff, and then I'll make sure that gets over to the YouTube channel. So thank you so much to GameFeel. Keep an ear out for this, and you know, if we can't do it this week, then hopefully we'll be able to do something in the near future, because Worlds is definitely coming up. So thank you so much to GameFeel for sponsoring the show. Go check out Mountain Dew GameFeel. We love them. And yeah, we can go on to the next card.
Also, I think I'm almost out of GameFeel, Travis. Give me more. I want more.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yep.
I will type this. Do you want to try? I don't know if I can get you, but do you want to try the Zero Courageous Sherbet? Oh, he's already switched channels. Okay. Mark is off. Mark needs Game Fuel 2. He just told me live on air. This is me messaging Game Fuel. Okay. Meshbeard, thank you for the 6 months. And Bowen, thank you for the 7 months. Oh, Bowen subscribed for 7 months at Tier 1, but then extended their sub through April. That's awesome. Okay, thank you. Hello, Mark, hello. And Go Swim a Lap? Is that your name?
Yes, it is.
Very good. You're new to the show?
Watched a whole bunch. Tried to call in one time before this, but second time's the charm.
Nice. Where are you calling from?
Because his take actually had a ton of interactions on it, so that's why I pulled it.
Oh, like the chat wanted it to, or the Discord wanted it to come through?
And it was all in agreement, too.
All in agreement. Okay, well, where are you calling from?
Just outside D.C. in Maryland.
Okay, Maryland. What is this hot take, popular take?
It's having 4 teams from a region is terrible. Couple things, either we should drop it to 3 teams from a region, or we should allow multiple teams from a region to be in the same group. If you only drop it to 3, then what you'll have is more wildcard teams making it into group stage. That'll be good for them. They'll get a lot of, experience. If you do 4, but you can still allow 2 teams, you could end up with like FPX and EDG in the same group. You can't say that wouldn't be amazing for viewership. And then I kind of added one myself. You could up it to more groups, and that way you wouldn't be guaranteed to have a China and Korea in your group.
Okay, so a couple things here. One, because I know this is where people are going to go with this. Is this a salty NA fan take who's just upset that Worlds is harder now?
Oh, no. I mean, at this point, you watch the play-in groups with a lot of hope, and then you watch the group stage with a lot of sadness, and then you have nothing riding on the best of fives.
So you're this is not born out of a concern that like the current system can't, like Worlds is too hard now or something like that.
Oh no, I mean, we usually have at least 1 or 2 3-and-3 teams, and C9's in it this time, so we could still do best of 8.
Okay, well, okay, I'm trying to understand where this is born from. So why don't you explain what your current issues are? You provided some solutions, but tell me what the issue is with 4 teams from
The
region.
issue is the last 3 years, 8 teams have gotten out from China, 8 from Korea, 7 from Europe, 1 from every other region in the world.
It does sound
And
like, but
actually-
when you say it that way, it sounds like it's a Worlds is too hard thing.
It's if you're not China, Korea, or Europe, you're not getting out. And actually, Europe, 6 of their 7 outs is G2 and Fnatic. So really, if you're not G2, Fnatic, China, or Korea, you only have a 2 and 24 to get out. So yeah, it's a little hard, but it would make it so that more gambits would get into the best of 8s. You'd have a lot more like dreams, like people making that miracle run.
Is it a miracle if
I feel like miracle runs need losers brackets.
I mean,
That-
wouldn't you say
that
that
makes sense.
Gambit was a miracle run?
Well, I feel like a miracle run has to go all the way.
I mean, that's the farthest I think an emerging region has ever gone, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the only time a wildcard region made top 8 ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can buy the idea that a miracle run doesn't need to be top, like all the way. You know, just a team having a good
and
unexpected
just be clear,
performance.
you guys were talking about Albus Nox Luna, right? I'm not going crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
there
I
we
was
go.
losing
I
my
was so
mind for a
confused.
second. I was
Yeah.
like,
Sorry, I understood what you meant too. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. I was pretty sure, but I just okay. Sorry. I was waiting for Twitch chat so that I didn't look like an idiot or an insane person. Where I was like, "Am I going and mad?" Okay. Anyway, sorry, Mark. You were saying.
I was just saying that like I'm a little bit more down with the like miracle run just being like an unexpected push. Like, you know, the C9 semi finish was a bit of a miracle run given
Yeah.
that started in play-ins, and as Goldenglue talked about earlier in the episode, had some struggles getting there too, you know? Like that was definitely a surprise to get out of that group and then win a best of 5 and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that
Sure,
definition of the
sure.
miracle run.
Well, let's go back to
Um,
other points. This is what about like the groups and like formatting? Because I definitely do think that the world formatting is a bit archaic.
what are your issues with it, Goldenglue?
I'm not saying I'm the person to fix it. I'm just saying it's been the same format, 4 groups, 4 teams. You know, they haven't experimented with. I mean, maybe they don't want to experiment with worlds, but I feel like double for the biggest tournament in the world, having a single limb is not like the best. You know, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we have double limb conversations every year, and the concern is always just like how long Worlds is. I will say the only thing is that I've been thinking about this lately is like there's a lot of downtime after group stage, and so I wonder if you couldn't like fill up those weeks with double limb. I think the only challenge is it's if you're going to travel to all these different cities, it gets really complicated because I think they need the downtime to move locations and to move to different stadiums and all that from a production standpoint. So maybe that's what the challenge is. But there are logistics. You know, I think I would just say, like, I'm not saying I agree that the format right now is great, but when we talk about format decisions and changes, I think it's always important that people understand that, like, it's a traveling road show essentially. So we have to kind of figure out how to handle it that way.
And I think to that point, and Goldenglue's point about like archaic, I think if you're prioritizing logistics of the show over what the show actually is, then that's not a good reason to not change. If everyone agrees, because if everyone agrees that losers bracket is good, literally the top 4 regions, all three of the 4 now have losers brackets. Back in the day when I defended not having losers brackets, I was like, well, you know, this is how the entire ecosystem of League of Legends seems to want to play it. But NA LPL and EU have all put in losers brackets into their postseason runs, and so it's a little backwards to then, to Goldenglue's point, not do that system, which 3 out of your 4 regions seems to think is superior, in the biggest tournament in the world. That doesn't really make sense to me at this point.
I am really on board with the idea of like I'm gonna be less about like, oh, I don't want four teams from these big regions. I think I'm more on board with like throw out the format and reboot it, or reset it, because I think archaic is a really good term for what Goldenglue's saying, because the format was built at a time where
esports was simpler.
Yeah, and everything was very different from a strength perspective. The ecosystems were different, the strengths of the regions were different, et cetera, et cetera. So I think doing something else would be good. And like, fine, I don't give a shit. Let's throw North America out. You know, like it's one of these conversations where like nobody wants to have a conversation about this, or nobody's allowed to have a conversation about this from North America, because everyone will just go like, oh, North America, you guys are just upset. Fine, whatever. The play-in teams, like, it's really difficult because you know, even in a world where somebody does make it out of play-ins, it just gets really weird if it's like, and now get, you know, crushed by these other teams in the group stage. I don't think that there's a lot of faith right now that like a Brazilian team is going to be able to take on like a number 1 and number 2 LCK and LPL team anytime soon. So it is kind of weird to just be like, and then we toss them out of plans and they watch them get massacred. So I agree. I'm going to take the Goldenglue stance of, I'm not the guy to fix the format, and I'm not the one to like come up with a solution, but I agree that it's not ideal right now. And I think perhaps the 4 teams from these regions are kind of illustrating it. So
I feel like the Proving Grounds format, for anyone who followed Proving Grounds, we're talking a little bit about it in chat. The Proving Grounds format is like really good. I think it's like insanely good. 16 teams. It's like auto-seeded into BO3s that are double elim, and it's BO3s for the first, like, I don't know, 4 matches or something like that, and then top 8 becomes like BO5s.
There's no group stage. Well, you don't. You have the whole league system to seed everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the seeding would be a little bit more complicated. I would say, like, how exactly would you have like all the first seeds like draw for seed 1? I don't know exactly how you would do the seeding. That's definitely something logistically you'd have to like think out. But the format of it's also just better because like there's just useless games in groups. And there's just like useless games that don't mean anything towards the end of the week, right? Like when you have the format where it's like BO3s, BO5s, double elim, every match matters, right? Like every single team is playing for their tournament life, right? So I feel like it's just better that way.
You do end up with less upsets though, if you do it this way. Like that's part of the reason group stage has been fun in the past, is that
BO3s, it's just like 2 games, you know, it's like not the biggest difference. You can still have upsets in BO3s for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of the reason why people have enjoyed group stage and it's like hyphy in the beginning is because you have like the first 4 days where things are still sorting out, and so one upset there feels really significant, whereas I just think it's way less likely that you have like, wow, like, you know, LPL Seed 1 just randomly lost to like the 3rd LEC team or something. It feels like it's far less likely to occur.
Who knows? But like FPX did not start super hot when they won the championship in 2019. 2019, I think.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, they struggled in Group B. They didn't look that dominant. Like maybe in that world, if it was a best of 3 thing, to Goldenglue's point, like they drop in the losers bracket and then they have this nuts fucking run. You know, like that would be super cool. And I think you might see that kind of stuff. Maybe you don't. But at least, like, if you're the team that does play FBX and you get your butt pounded and you get dropped in the losers bracket, hopefully then you're playing another team that just lost as well, and you have a more fair game that you get to play. Because right now, the wildcard teams on the main stage never play each other because they're in this like pretty segregated system. And so, you know, you don't get to like look good in front of the biggest audience because you're just literally playing all the teams above you. Whereas if you did a bracket like this where, okay, Beyond loses because they're the weakest in their group, let's say, and let's say, you know, 100 Thieves loses or someone else, or excuse me, C9 loses, and they go back in the lower bracket, then they get to play each other earlier on in the tournament and maybe pick up a win, versus just like getting punted into these groups where they get demolished.
Yeah, I feel like also this like upset thing is like kind of weird. Like, who gives a fuck if a wildcard team beats SK or like T1?
The wildcard team's
SKT?
region.
Let's just say emerging regions team beats.
No, I'm saying that region gives really fucking cares if their
But
team.
then they're just out anyway. They lost to every other team. They don't make it to groups. Like,
Yeah,
they
but
won
it's
one
still.
game, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they really care about that. I think if you're trying to argue that like that wouldn't be more significant to them than like losing a best of 3, like those little moments I think really do add up, especially for the emerging regions or wild cards or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, exactly. What if they won one game in a BO3? How does that change anything? You know?
I think it changes a lot. I think it's like we still that's a loss.
Knock a team out in a BO3 if you win one game. It's actually more substantial than winning a BO one game in a best of 1 double round robin. If I'm 0-4 and I win a game, it doesn't fucking matter. But if
that's what I'm saying. If you're 0-4, 0-5, you win the one game.
Yeah, but they're not always going to be 0-4.
EDG is 5-0, you're 0-5, and you play versus them. It's like
Travis, sometimes you're up 1-0. To your point, if they win a game early on in a group stage, that feels really good for them. You're right. Winning a game early on against EDG in a best of 3 feels really fucking good. You just need to win one more and you beat EDG. Like, think about how that feels from their perspective in a situation like that, even if they don't win the series.
I don't know. I see what you're saying. I just think that we took a game off them, especially earlier on, is more like it feels better than the one game. Like, yeah, you get to ride that high in the best of 3 for approximately 40 minutes or something until things fall apart. Whatever.
So let me tell you the high you beat them in a BO1, and you're like, well, that game didn't fucking matter anyway. Let's pack up our stuff and go home. Like,
no, because that's assuming that it's like the game on the final day whenever they've already been eliminated. Like, I am thinking back to the World's group stages from, and I don't know if we've had much of this in the last couple of years, admittedly, and maybe that's because of the teams that are now in. But like, I remember 2015, 2016, whatever, 2017, you would have these things where the first 4 days of groups, it would be like, whoa, like things are dramatically different than we expected because you had these best of 1s and it drew a ton of interest and people used to talk about how, and I think still do, group stage is the most exciting part of Worlds because you have some big upset that happens. I don't think that you get that if you get that excitement for about 5 seconds until they end up going 2-1, or sorry, 1-2.
So you don't think there'll be any upset if you do BO3s? You don't think there will be any upset?
I think you're way less likely to have that happen. Way less likely to have those upsets happen by the nature of the fact that like that's what a best of 3 is designed to have. Is like you are way less likely to have upsets when you add more games. That's why people have valued group stage. Like, there's a ton of people that are like purists that are going to come out and be like, I don't care, I just want to see the best teams and I just whatever, and like get the shit teams out as much as possible. But I think from an entertainment product standpoint, that group stage it really helps with that element.
One thing, since we got a little off topic from the caller's point about the too many major region teams, to Travis's point about like there's no more kabooms because like it's impossible for these teams to get through some of the situations where you have another LPL, another LCK team. Like the number of actual representatives that are trying to pull off these massive upsets, there's a lot fewer of them even making it. Though they can technically pull these off in play-in stage now. Not as many people watch, and it's just like a less of a memorable thing that Mad Lions lost in play-ins than if they had gotten kaboomed. Like, people still talk about kaboom. No one talks about Mad Lions.
Yeah. I have a question. I'm not insane, right? This format can lead to a world where if you have 4 LCK and 4 LPL teams, quarterfinals is 4 LCK and 4 LPL teams, right?
Yes, it can.
I mean, that's like the horror story, I feel like if that, and again, I know there are purists out there that are going to be like, that would be sick because they're the best teams in the world. But I think from a broader entertainment product, if you take Worlds and after group stage, you end up in a thing where it's like only 2 regions are left. Like if you are Riot and you're designing this product to try to be like a really big international event, where you want a bunch of different regions to be excited and you narrow it down to like 2, Same thing in a bizarro world where I would say the same thing about it if it was all North American, all European teams, right? Like I think it feels bad if that's where you end up in quarterfinals, and so I think that's one sort of horror story that could occur from this situation where you do have 4 from these 2 regions. Mark, you look like you're about to say something, but
No, I was responding to Raz in chat, who was saying that MSI having 3 separate BO1 group stages made me want to break my monitor, and I just said, "Lol."
Yeah, I mean I agree that's a bit excessive. Go swim a lap. What was your? Oh yeah, you just wanted there to not be four teams. I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you cut it to just 3 teams for China Korea this year, that means that Unicorns of Love and Detonation Focus Me get out most likely, and we've already had callers tonight saying that they think that they'll get out anyways. So that would just add more of these underdog teams that would create way better narratives also, instead of your 2016 all China Korea, 2017 all China Korea. 2018 was the weird one because 2 Europe and an NA team, but it's definitely been almost always China Korea, and we just gave them 2 more teams and therefore a way higher chance of it being that again.
Yeah.
And like Mark said, yeah, you're just cutting out the odds that a team is going to have one of these great runs.
Yeah. Hey, we're running a little over time, so go swim a lap. Thank you so much for the call. Sorry we have to wrap up. We got one more caller to go. Is there anything you want to say before we go to our final call?
Of course, shout out to Alienware, shout out to Game Fuel, specifically Cherry Burst. Did the math for $1.91. You can guaranteed win a ranked game. You drink it in Champ Select, free win.
Wow. That I just want to say that the opinions of him do not represent the opinions of us, and there's I cannot legally say that is what will happen, that you're guaranteed to win. But if Ghost from Lap wants to go out there, I appreciate it. We love Game Fuel. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Okay, final caller coming up. Thank you to the OG Kush who gifted a sub. Appreciate the subscription. Mark grabbing the last call. By the way, thanks for coming on, Goldenglue. I appreciate it. I know I did message you late in the day, but it's super fun to have you on.
Yeah,
it's been a bit.
It's been a good time.
By the way, here, because we didn't get a chance to talk about it too much, and I know Stripes might not have that call. I'm not sure if Mark pulled it, but what was the experience like? You had mentioned at the start of the show that it felt really good as a coach to pull this off, but what was that like for you?
Yeah, I feel like going into Proving Grounds, especially since we were coming in with sub rosters, I feel like there was like a really good opportunity for me to try to challenge myself as a coach to get new players in, basically try a different, not a different way to run things, but just try running things with a different like tools, I suppose, or different
The players are tools, is what you're saying. I understand.
I mean, each player they have their strengths and their tools. They have their power. It's like some players are swords, some players are shields, some players are hammers. There's definitely some calling a or just what I mean.
Yeah. I'm just teasing.
Yeah,
I'm teasing.
So I don't know, to be able to actually win the whole thing with it felt really satisfying. Especially when I watched the post game interview and Gumsy was very saying nice words about me. I didn't know. It's really hard, I feel to tell your effect as a coach, right? The players are playing, and obviously I try to tell them everything I can about what to do, what to pick, how to play the game. But the game starts and you're just watching. You're just hoping that what you're telling them was right, that they listen to you, yada yada yada. So when I was able to see the fruits of my labor pay off in a very clear way in Proving Grounds, it was super satisfying.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for all the players for playing so well, being fucking Smurfs, and just also bearing with me, because there's definitely what is that phrase of getting your green. There's some fishing phrase of like getting your greenhorn or something like that.
This must be a Texas thing. I've never heard this.
I watched The Deadliest Catch, and there was like something like that. But basically, like getting my bearings for the first year, getting your sea legs, kind of like equivalent, of like becoming a coach, because you definitely have way less control as a coach, right? You're basically just telling your players and hoping they're listening, and then to hear that they felt like I did help them was very nice.
Nice. Well, congratulations again on the win. It's awesome. Stripes is here. Stripes, where are you calling from?
Hello. I'm calling from upstate New York.
Upstate New York. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I had two takes, but the one I got pulled for was I believe that Korea is horribly overhyped and NA is horribly underhyped. My reasoning behind that is outside of Damwon, Korea has looked very Korea's looked bad outside of Damwon. Even then, there's still flaws in the armor, and we saw that at MSI where C9 took a game off them. Mad Lions drove them to 5 games. They are beatable, and I believe that we did send the 3 best teams we possibly could have from North America in TL, 100 Thieves, and C9. And I can picture a world where I see 3 Western teams make semis, including Mad, but at the same time, I can picture a world where there are 4 LPL teams in semis. It's one of the weirdest worlds for me, but I definitely think that Korea is nowhere near, by far and away, the second best region in the world. We all know LPL's 1, but I think the title for 2 is under heavy contention.
Who would you say has it? You said it's under contention, but who? LEC?
Yeah, I would have to say Europe. I've not been too excited about the depth Europe has had. Like this year in particular, I've watched a lot of LEC, LPL, and LCS, and so I've not been too excited for a lot of the depth that LEC has had. Mad Lions has, of course, been the shock and has looked like obviously the best team from Europe this year. G2 faltered, and that was a yeesh moment. Fnatic, I think they made some right moves in the mid-season.
Sure. So, well, you're giving me reasons why you think they shouldn't be number 2, but you said you think they should be number 2.
Well, I don't think Korea is number 2. I think NA can, Freak said it best on the draw show. This is one of the best draws we could have hoped for as NA fans, and even looking in Group A, I don't think it's clear cut that Damwon makes it out, because there's an obvious flaw in the armor for Damwon, and that's Khan in the top lane. And assuming C9 gets out of play-ins and goes to Group A, look at the top laners he has to go against. He has to go against Nuguri. Not only is he a better top laner,
I don't want to. Sorry, I'm a little worried about getting into like specific matchups of players. But just to be clear, were you suggesting that NA could be the second best region in the world?
They very well could be in terms of depth. I definitely don't think like an NA team will be, like the top NA team will be above like Mad Lions or a few of the top LPL teams like EDG, FPX, and maybe RNG, but
our average is higher, you think, than the other regions?
So to put it qualitatively, let's say, like there's a chance in your mind that North America will have the second best win rate of regions and groups. LPL number 1, but then there's a chance in your mind that North America actually has the second best combined win rate.
Yes.
What do you think the chances are North America gets out of groups?
I could easily see 2 teams, but I think at least one team is going to make it out of groups, and I would say that's like 80% chance. Obviously, it's clear cut that we think TL probably has the best shot, but I do think 100 Thieves is a team that could shock a lot of people. It's not out of the question that they can 2-0 T1. They can take down an emerging region or Beyond Gaming or whoever gets in from play-ins. And on the right day, they might be able to take a game off of EDG. I don't think that they'll be able to take 2 games if they both go 5-1 and go to a tiebreaker. But I do think that 100 Thieves and TL can easily make it out, and I think C is gonna be a harder group for C9 than Group A will, because of the win through top you need to do.
Well, let's move on to our panelists here as they grade this take. You said at one point in time you could see 3 Western teams in semis, and Goldenglue's eyes bulged out of his head in that moment. So
I'm just drinking on that copium too. I didn't know I found a brother here. Big news.
You got hit with the copium real hard. Your eyes rolled back.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let's start with Goldenglue then. Do you think at a baseline, let's not worry about NA being second best region potentially or whatever, but at a baseline Goldenglue, do you think LCK is overrated?
I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? Like, where are we rating LCK?
I'm asking you.
Like, I would still put I still think LCK is fucking good. Like, they're still fucking good. I would say it does seem like LPL is like, besides Damwon Gaming, I feel like LPL is like above LCK generally. I think Damwon Kia was like a kind of like special case where they're just like really insane team from LCK. But I would still put like LCK above NA, like clearly. And I think with LAC it's a bit closer, but LCK is still fucking good. They're still really good. I do think like since they lost to Cloud9 in Worlds like a couple of years ago, everyone's kind of just been like, is LCK like, is the Reign of Terror over? And there's just like a new Reign of Terror, and it's LPL and LCK is how I feel.
Gotcha.
I forget what stat I was looking at, but it's like how often LCK teams don't get out of groups, and it's like a single team. I'm pretty sure it's just like Gen G from 2018. It's something absolutely fucking bonkers like that. And so like while their top end has become like less dominant, they're still pretty handily the second best team.
Probably the most consistent team region recently.
Yeah, for sure.
Their floor is really high.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. So I don't feel comfortable at all saying that they are up in the air for losing their crown as second best. I think there's a period of time where Europe, when G2 was in their heyday, could make that contention, and maybe we'll see what happens. But what I was going to say is it's a weird world to claim that LCK is overrated because EU is going through its own like little mini revival right now, or revolution, I guess you would say, with a lot of the top teams like G2 and the older players not making it. Fnatic's not like the powerhouse it was. Mad and Rogue seem to have been running it for most of the season there. And so it does feel like it's hard to pin these new group of players down. Like, has the top just fallen? Have they actually overcame G2 at their height? Like, these are the kinds of questions I think a lot of fans are going to have. So I just think it's a weird time to say that, like, oh, LCK is supplanted as the number 2 region right now, while Europe is going through revolution and it hasn't showed off. And NA, no offense, hasn't done anything to show that they deserve to be put in that conversation.
Yeah, so that falls in the final part of this, which is NA underrated?
I think one of the big problems NA has had is there were, like, over the past few years, we've had teams that have been good in NA. And I think last year TSM going to Worlds is the cornerstone of that. When I watch LCS, I don't really root for a team. I don't have a team, but I root for. But when it gets to like playoffs and international qualification, I root for the teams that I think will have the best shot.
Sure. And I'm sorry. I'm trying to narrow in on just this final bit.
Yeah,
right?
we're running out of time, so let me just throw in my 2 cents to Travis's question. North America is underrated in the sense that it's a punching bag, and people want to just shit on it and say 0-18 like one of our callers did. That's absolutely a fucking joke prediction. That won't happen. So yes, it is underrated in that sense, but it is correctly rated as the weakest major region.
Wow, I like it when Mark gets so. Wow,
It's 9:13. That's
time to go. I agree.
Mark was you were
That's
late to
midnight for
the.
yeah.
Goldenglue is North America underrated.
I mean, I have the same. I think Mark said it well. You know, it's just a punching bag. So it's like, how can you be underrated when people already shit on it so hard? That's possible.
Well, wait. How can you be underrated?
Yeah, I don't think it's underrated when people shit on it already so hard, right? Like people.
Well, that would mean it's underrated because it's people already have such a low opinion of them that you mean.
Oh, do you think? Wait, I think I missed.
You're thinking of overrated.
Is NA underrated? I mean, yeah. I mean, we got a 0-18. Yeah, like it is a punching bag. I feel like it just put Mark's opinion for my opinion. I have the same
Copy
one.
pasta.
Like,
okay.
V Control V.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, fair enough. I just the final little bit on this is like I get really frustrated when people are like, "Wow, NA shouldn't be allowed more, 3 teams," and I'm like, "Well, look, there might become a time where like wild card teams start consistently beating us in play-ins or something like that, but we are still the solid number 4 for what it takes." Like there's not too much evidence that there's other regions that are significantly better than us. So anyway, Stripes, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you waiting on the line for so long. Is there anything you want to shout out before we wrap up the show?
Of course, G Fuel Alienware, shout to them for sponsoring Travis and making a great show like this possible. Shout out to all the guys in the LAS, one of the very, very low elo amateur leagues out there, and guys at Verge Esports and Midnight Gaming. You guys are awesome, and that's pretty much it.
Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, peace.
All right, that is the show. Mark, what do you got for us? What do you want to shout out?
Nothing.
What? You cut out.
You heard all my nothing. Yeah, nothing. Shout out.
Are you doing any world stuff this week?
No. I'm prepping.
I will say congrats on the casting gig. I think that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Me too.
Goldenglue. What do you want to shout out, Mr. Victor Coach?
Shout out to the boys. Shout out to Gamsu, Chad Jungle, Ryoma, Luger, and Poom for getting the dub. Shout out to 100 Thieves and Papa Smithy for supporting us. And yeah, that's a shout out to the fans. Day 1 fans.
I appreciate you coming on the show. It was really fun to have you on. I know we didn't get to talk as much about Proving Grounds, but it's still neat to be able to highlight you guys after the big win. So I appreciate it. For me, stay tuned this week. We've got some cool world stuff happening. Rift Reaction should have some special guests on it. We're recording tomorrow, so hopefully everybody who wants more stuff to listen to, they can go check out Rift Reaction on Spotify. And stay tuned. We'll try to give you guys as much of a heads up on whether or not we're going to do the show on Monday or Tuesday of next week. But we'll let you all know. So thanks, everyone, for watching. This has been Hotline League, episode 190.